What is up, everybody? My name is James Blissett, professional sports bettor, and I'm coming here to do the 19th episode of Lucrative MMA Betting Podcast. This is a bit of a different episode. Obviously, I'm not in my usual surroundings. I don't have the Bruce Lee poster at the back. I don't have the Rickson Gracie poster, but I just thought I'd change up the surroundings a little bit. Right now, I'm actually not in my home. I'm at a different home. I have a beautiful view in front of me for everybody watching, everybody following on Twitter. I did post that view. And I just thought I'd come on here and I'd talk about UFC 268, It's Friday night here for me in New Zealand, Auckland. I'm drinking a nice glass of red wine. So I don't know if any of you guys watching live are drinking along with me. But if you are, cheers. I know it's a strange time all over the world. Strange time, like literally a strange time, because I think it's like 3 a.m. for some of you. But it's also a very strange time in general, lots of lockdowns. I've been in lockdown for four months personally myself. And it's obviously a hard time for a lot of people. So at this time, content is being consumed a lot because people are stuck at home, a lot more than they usually are. So I'm trying to put out more content these days. I do have plans for lots of videos. I have already recorded quite a few videos that I haven't yet uploaded. And today, hopefully, wherever you are in the world, I can make it a little bit better by breaking down these fights. I will be taking questions at the end. After we finish the podcast, after I go through my three usual segments, I'll be taking questions. So any questions about the card, you can ask me. But initially, we're going to be doing what we always do every single week on this podcast, which is break down the three segments. The first segment is going to be the most exciting fight on the card. Second segment is going to be the most inaccurate betting line on the card. And the third segment is going to be the main event, right? And we're going to be talking about all of these segments from a betting perspective. A lot of podcasts speak from an analysis perspective. My podcast, obviously, I'm a gambler, so I always speak about it from a betting perspective. And UFC 268 is a solid card. So it wasn't easy for me to pick the most exciting fight on the card. In fact, coming on here live with you now, I haven't actually picked it yet. It's between two fights, which you can probably guess what fights they are. It's the Shane Burgos versus Billy Quarantillo fight. And it's also the Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler fight. I haven't chosen what one I'm going to break down in the next 60 seconds. Maybe we might have a little live vote here. Anybody who just heard what I said, please hit me up in the chat. Tell me, what do you want me to break down more? Shane Burgos versus Billy Quarantillo or Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler? I'm suspecting Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler will be the winner, but I'll probably give it about a 30 to 60 second look at the comments and see what one wins, because honestly, I think both of them are going to be very exciting, and, I'm happy to break either or down. All right, one comment is coming so far. Two comments, both Gaethje Chandler. So whoever wanted to listen to me break down Billy Quarantillo, tough luck. I'm going to go with Gaethje Chandler. So this is an amazing fight, right? Gaethje is actually a pretty sizable favorite at the moment. And I was surprised to see the line move as much into Gaethje's favor, because Chandler's dangerous against anybody he fights. And he's definitely dangerous against someone who's going to basically give him the fight he wants, at least early. And that is Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje will give him the fight he wants, at least early. Maybe after a while, if they're still alive, Justin Gaethje is going to be pressuring him, putting that pace and pressure on him. And I don't think any fighter wants that style of fight. But early, Gaethje is going to be there to be hit, which is what I mean by Gaethje will give the fight Chandler wants, or will give Chandler the fight he wants. Sorry, I've had a couple glasses of wine, so maybe I'm slurring my words a little bit, but I'll get the main points off to you, and I'll get the bets, and I'll tell you where the value is, which is the most important thing, right? So yeah, I am a little bit surprised by the line movement. I'll just bring up best fight odds now, and I'll have to just talk you through it because I can't share my screen. Obviously, I'm sitting outdoors. I only have one screen at the moment. Yeah, but if we look here on best fight odds, Justin Gaethje is about a minus 220 favorite market wide, right? Minus 225, minus 230. I'm seeing here minus 205 best price. And that's on Bet Online. But when they opened this fight up, Justin Gaethje was only a minus 140. Instantly steamed down to a minus 175, minus 180. And honestly, I did think Justin Gaethje would settle around minus 180. didn't put too much thought into it. But just generally, I thought, yeah, it's probably about right. The line is probably about accurate at minus 175, minus 200. You could probably squeeze Gaethje to like a 70, just under 70% favorite. So I kind of can see why it's gone to minus 233, although I did think it would settle around minus 175. But only in the last few days, it was minus 175, minus 180, literally for 2 months. Since the line got announced, it's been like that for 2 months. And then only in the last 2 days, only in the last 5 days, it's been slowly getting, bet. And now it's minus 220. So I think Gaethje and Chandler's going to be an absolute war. I think people are going to be very, happy about this fight. I think it's going to live up to expectations. I don't see either fighter diverging from the game plan of swang and bang, as Derek Lewis would say. I will say that I think Chandler might go to his wrestling. I do think Chandler might shoot for a couple of takedowns. But ultimately, I don't think he's going to have extreme success. I do think he'll be able to get Gaethje down. But I don't think he'll be able to hold Gaethje down for an extended period of time, which means that I do think the majority of this fight will be fought on the feet, right? Not a hot take by saying that, although I do think Chandler will mix in the wrestling at some point. But when the fight's fought on the feet, I think Chandler has a puncher's chance. And I think everybody else goes to Gaethje. Now, Chandler has such heavy hands and he's very good at setting up the overhand left and rights that his puncher's chance means a lot more than a lot of other fighters' puncher's chance. If I say to you, so-and-so fighter has a puncher's chance, it means like he's probably not going to win the fight. It's very unlikely. If I tell you Michael Chandler has a puncher's chance, it actually means a lot more. Actually, the phrase puncher's chance is kind of disrespectful to Michael Chandler because although technically, I could be right in the fact that, yeah, he's probably just got to land a big shot on him. I think his chances for that big shot is just dramatically more than it would be any other fighter because he does have one hit quitter power for the lightweight division. So I do think Chandler's live, but honestly, I think Gaethje's going to break him down. Just summing up the fight, I think Gaethje's leg kicks will be huge, as they are in almost all of his fights. I watched his Khabib fight the other day, and that was one of the most dominant performances we've ever seen inside of the octagon. Just in terms of how Khabib became a striker and managed to gas Chandler out within 3 minutes of that fight. And then obviously when he took him down, it was one of the most dominant top performances we've ever seen inside the UFC octagon. In terms of the amount of time it took him to completely dominate Gaethje on the ground. As soon as he got Gaethje down, it was like 15, 20 seconds into a locked-in submission. We haven't seen much like that in the UFC's octagon. Even Khamzat Chimaev, like when he gets someone down, it takes him 60 seconds or so to completely dominate. It took Khabib 15, 20 seconds in that fight, and it was unreal. He took him down into a full mount. And I don't want to get off this fight I'm talking about now, because as you can tell, I'm fanboying over that Khabib performance. But that was I don't think people understand how crazy that performance was. And I didn't until I watched it again yesterday. But why I brought up that Khabib fight was because even in the Khabib fight, in a performance where it looked like Khabib was an adult and Gaethje was his 5-year-old son, honestly, even in that fight, right, where he looked like a child fighting a man, Justin Gaethje still landed heavy leg kicks, which hurt Khabib. It was the only thing he done in the fight of effectiveness, because he did catch him with a huge uppercut hook combo, which done nothing to Khabib. But what did affect Khabib was the leg kicks. There was a couple times in the fight where the leg kick hit and Khabib shot straight in for a takedown. So we could tell the leg kicks were hurting. So he even hurt the GOAT with leg kicks. He's hurt multiple people with leg kicks. He leg kicks you from clinch range, which is crazy. Like he could be, literally could have the tire plumb on you. He could be clinching you and hit you with a leg kick. It's pretty phenomenal the way he wraps his leg around, the angle he gets on it, the torque he gets on it, in tight. So I do think that the leg kicks are going to add up because he's one of the best leg kickers in the lightweight division. And obviously, if this fight stretches late, and by late, I mean more than 5 minutes, because after 5 minutes, it is late in this fight. Because of the pace they're going to be fighting at, because of the pressure they're going to be fighting at, because of the adrenaline dump, because of the adrenaline, because of the power they're both going to be throwing. 5 minutes is a long time. One round is going to be like 4 rounds for some other fighters. So I think if the fight gets into the second and third round, I think the leg kick is going to start to add up. And I do think Michael Chandler is going to be worn down by Gaethje's pace, pressure, boxing, and leg kicks. Gaethje has very good volume. He'll keep pumping out volume. He's got more volume than Michael Chandler. So if Gaethje can just come through them first 5 minutes, I think it's his fight to lose. So yeah, I'm backing Gaethje for the win here. I'm backing Gaethje for the knockout win, in fact. And I think it's going to come in the second or third round. I could even see first round KO, honestly. So I'm not really going to pick around here. I mean, just to pick around just for the sake of the stream and just for the sake of people who, want to know. I'll say second round TKO for Justin Gaethje, but I'm not fixated on the round at all, to be honest. I do sports betting a little bit differently than a lot of people. A lot of people, watch fights and then assign a percentage. And this is actually what I recommend people to do, especially if they're first starting off in it. Watch the fights, assign a percentage to each prop, assign a percentage to the money line, and then, think about how much percentage you think this fight's going to finish in the first round, the second round by KO submission. But nowadays, I don't go too heavy into the maths and the numbers behind it. Like, I give Gaethje a 20% chance of finishing in the first round and a 17% chance of finishing in the third round and a 21% chance of finishing in the second round. Like, I don't divert exact percentages to every single prop and every single money line, although I do tell people, and I will keep reiterating this because people watching out there, they are not me and I am not them. Everybody's differently. And especially if you're first getting involved in sports betting, I do suggest everybody to give a percentage to almost every outcome just because it gets you in the mode of doing it. It gets you in the groove. But I actually don't do it like that anymore. I kind of look at the fight as a whole. And if anything stands out to me, I will make note of it, right? So, like, obviously the money lines, I basically always give a percentage. Sometimes the money lines just completely don't interest me and I don't necessarily give a percentage, although I could pluck one up if someone asked me. Sometimes fights they don't interest me. I look at the numbers. Like, for example, the Shane Burgos-Billy Q fight, right? I saw, and I won't divulge too much. I will get back to Chandler and give my final prediction, although I've already sort of give it, but I'll just wrap this up, tie it in a bow by saying that the Shane Burgos-Billy Q fight, right? Shane Burgos minus 200, Billy Q plus 170, whatever. I watched the fight. I watched the tape and I'm like, these money line numbers do not interest me. I didn't sit down and go, this percentage of the time Burgos should win this fight. I just know that minus 200, it doesn't interest me in Burgos. And plus 170, I'm more tempted on the plus 170 side for Billy Q, but honestly, also it doesn't interest me. So what that means is, if someone did put a gun to my head, right, and I did have to make a percentage, then the percentage will be fairly close, right? So I reckon Billy Q, 40%, Burgos 60%, maybe, something like that. But when I look at fights these days, it's not, always strict numbers. It's more how I feel and what the line tells me, right? And in this fight, I do think Gaethje's going to win. I do think Gaethje's going to win by stoppage. I don't mind Gaethje via stoppage minus 110. This could be one of them crazy fights where it just goes to decision, but I don't see it. We have them often, right, where the fight seems like it cannot go to decision, and then it goes to decision. We've had that we've had that a lot lately. We had Costa Vittori, we had Mackenzie Dern, Marina Rodriguez, we had, loads. Norma Dumont, Aspen Ladd, we had Johnny Walker, Thiago Santos. You've had a lot of fights that seem like they're definitely going to finish inside the distance, but they've gone to decision. But honestly, I don't think there's going to be one of them. I think Gaethje's going to win via stoppage, and we'll say second round stoppage. And now I'll just catch up with the chat a little bit, and then I'll go to the second segment of the podcast, which is the most inaccurate betting line on the card. Shout out to everybody in here at the moment. We've got 40 live viewers. I really appreciate everyone being here with me on this Friday evening. Cheers. I know a couple guys said they rolled one, smoking a joint in the back. That makes me happy. I'm happy to enjoy a glass of wine with you. Trey Lance is saying you're the best capper in MMA. I really appreciate that, my man. That means a lot. William Turner, what is up? Tyner or Tina. I apologize. Will Stevens is going to be at the fight Saturday. Lucky you, MSG. What an amazing arena to be in. I definitely can't wait for me to go to America so I can visit these, amazing arenas like MSG, like the arenas in Las Vegas. I really want to go to a Las Vegas show. I can't wait to travel there. Let's get wacky. Beautiful setting. Yeah, thank you. It's really beautiful on this Friday night. Smoking, maybe. Somebody smoking. Corey Munkeskov. Do you guys reckon he's a grappler? He's got OV on the end of his name. Everybody watch out, man. Corey about to double leg the stream. It's 9:30 p.m. where Corey is. Joint in hand. Let's fucking go. Yeah. Everybody's saying Gaethje Chandler, so happy I broke that one down. A few people say Billy Q. Sorry about that. Maybe you can ask on my opinion about Billy Q when we end the podcast. All right, I'll catch up with the chat in a minute. First, we're going to move on now, and we're going to be speaking about the most inaccurate betting line on the card. Honestly, this was hard to pick. It was going to be Chris Barnett via decision at plus 700. And then I checked best fight odds before I jumped on it, and it was like plus 300. So them guys have completely changed their tune. It's plus 400 on Bet365. It was plus 700 earlier. And on another bookie, I can't remember what it was plus 750. So it was going to be Chris Barnett via decision, even though I'm not picking him to win the fight. I'm picking him to lose the fight. But I just had to, tip that at plus 750. But unfortunately, that line is gone now. So I can't tip that. So what I'm going to go for is Aude Osborne versus Carlos Vergara, under 2.5 rounds at minus 140. Someone in the chat is saying, is that Borrachina's wine? Yes, this is Borrachina's wine. I'm feeling a bit saucy right now, if you know what I mean. Bad joke. But anyway, yeah, so the most accurate betting line on the card. Look, it's an underplay, under 2.5, minus 140. Honestly, I think this fight finishes in the first round. I'll just say that off the bat. I think Aude Osborne is going to get to him. I think Aude Osborne is going to clip him early. I could see this fight being finished within 60 seconds, honestly. I could also see this fight being finished, within 2 minutes. I think that's under that 2.5 minute range, 2.5 minute time, 2.5 minute period of the first round. I think it could definitely finish there. But if Aude Osborne doesn't knock him out in the first round, then Vergara is definitely live to take over and knock Aude Osborne out, when it goes later. And then also, Aude Osborne may also be live to knock Vergara out late. So the reason I say that is because Aude Osborne, I think he's been out of the first round twice in his career. One time he lost the split, and another time he lost the decision, right? I wasn't able to watch any of them fights, but every other fight has been finished in the first round, right? So that means that he's a first-round fighter. So probably this fight is going to be finished in the first round, right? But if it doesn't, if he's only been out of the first round twice and he's one-on-one in them fights, that tells me that his cardio might not be up to scratch. And we get it all the time, right? Athletic, explosive, very ripped. He's got lots of muscles, even though he's such a lightweight class that he can't be jacked. But he's very ripped. He's got lots of muscles, right? You can see his muscle definition. He's got solid musculature on his frame, even though he's not jacked. And we see all the time, right? Time and time again with these fighters that when they get out to the second and third round, they gas out. So I think it's definitely in the books, or it's definitely a probability that Aude Osborne could gas out after the first round. But he hasn't shown me that he will gas out after the first round, right? So when I've watched his fights, it seems like even in the fights that go late in the first round, like that Manel Cape fight, he was fine. He wasn't blowing hard. But obviously that pace was very slow, right? So there's a few question marks on Aude Osborne's gas tank. I'll put it that way. But I'm not ready to write his gas tank off. In fact, I would actually give him the benefit of the doubt in terms of the gas tank, because I do think that from what we've seen of him, he seems to be fine when it goes late in the first round. So I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I do understand that there are questions around his gas tank, right? So that's just another piece of information that we add to the pie when we want to back this under 2.5. So there's a chance that Aude Osborne gasses out, right? Because of all the reasons I mentioned. There's also a massive chance, in my opinion, that Aude Osborne gets the first round knockout. And then also, if Aude Osborne doesn't gas out, which is a piece of information that we've just spoke about, if Aude Osborne doesn't gas out, well, then it means he's still got gas, right? And if he's still got gas, I think anytime he's got gas, he's highly live to knock out CJ Vergara, because CJ Vergara is just not on Aude Osborne's level in terms of striking. They're on completely different wavelengths. Aude Osborne is a much more clinical, much more precise striker. And honestly, the only way, sorry about the neighbors there, the only way that Aude Osborne will lose this fight in a striking range is that if CJ Vergara walks forward, heavy pressure, hits to the body, knees, pushes him up against the fence. It's kind of like the pressure and pace may be able to get to Aude Osborne. But honestly, if I have to make a prediction, I think that Aude Osborne, I think he puts him out. I think he puts him out early. I honestly do. I think the striking levels are just completely different. I think the explosiveness levels are completely different. CJ Vergara likes to block punches with his face and with his body. I've seen him dropped on a regional scene. He recovered well, but honestly, this is the UFC now. And I think Aude Osborne, although he hasn't had a great showing in the UFC yet, I do think he's probably UFC level. Aude Osborne is still a bit of a question mark to me just because we haven't seen him go late in fights. So, it is interesting. But I think that, there's many chances that this fight can finish. Aude Osborne can obviously get the first round knockout, which I'm probably predicting. Yes, I am predicting that actually. And if he doesn't, I think he'd get the second and third round knockout if he doesn't gas. But if he does gas, I think he'd be knocked out in the second or third round. So it's a massive, it's like a great under 2.5 stew. It's like a fight doesn't go the distance stew. It's like a violence pot that we're stirring, and it's got all the ingredients for this fight not to go to decision. Another ingredient it has sprinkled in is that CJ Vergara's, his pressure and pace and just his fighting style in general. He just walks forward, man. He puts the pressure on you. He wants to fight you. He wants to hurt you. So if you're betting it doesn't go to decision prop, you always want at least one fighter in there that's going to push the pace. That's like MMA sports betting 101, is that if your betting doesn't go to distance, you want someone that is going to push the pace, right? So I really do think we have lots of, we're going to have lots of chances for this fight to finish. And I actually like the under 2.5. And honestly, I don't even mind the under 1.5 because I do think Osborne will get the first round stoppage. But it's set at 2.5, and I like that a lot. Minus 140. I'll probably be on it myself. I'm not on it yet. But I probably will be on it myself. And then if I am, I'm not sure exactly how many units I'm going to put on it. Probably around 2 units. I'm not going to go crazy on it because I actually do have exposure to that fight in another way. And obviously, as always, if you want my official bets, I have about 14 for the card already. You can go to lucrativemma and you'll get all my official bets there. But that's it, guys. I'm predicting Aude Osborne via round 1 stoppage, and I'll move on to the next fight, which is the main event of the evening, which is an amazing title rematch, and I cannot wait for this fight. All right. So, Usman versus Covington, rematch. It was an amazing first fight. I went and watched that fight the other day, and it was actually the first time I watched it back since they fought. And honestly, it was an amazing fight. It wasn't overhyped by Dana because Dana's calling it one of the best fights he's ever seen live. And, when he's been saying that over the past, 6 to 12 months, whatever, since it's been the first fight, I was thinking, Dana, you're talking a bit of shit here. It wasn't the best fight, one of the best. I think he said it was the best fight he's ever seen live. Honestly, I think he says that. He definitely says it's one of the best fights. And I was thinking, it's not one of the best fights. Like, are you sure you think it's one of the best fights? But actually, when I went back and watched it, it was a banger of a fight. They went back and forth constantly. There wasn't a dull moment in that fight. There was no breaks. There was no grappling against the cage. There was no clinch fight. And it was constant back and forth striking warfare. Colby Covington rocked Usman multiple times in that fight, which I was surprised about. Now, I don't think he was, badly rocked. I'm going to say that. Honestly, I don't think it was, too much at all, really. But he was visibly shooken up. You could see that on one of them, his legs actually was a little bit jelly. But I think, we've seen that from Usman before where he got dropped by Gilbert Burns. It kind of looks bad, but if you actually look deep into it, he was only shook for a second and he instantly was fine, right? And Colby did try and pour it on one of them times where he rocked him, and he wasn't able to because Kamaru Usman was still fine enough to have his defensive faculties about him. So although I will concede that Kamaru Usman did get wobbled more than one occasion by Colby Covington, and if you deny that, I just think you are too biased, in my opinion, because it's undeniable because we saw it with a camera, multiple cameras. But I will say that being wobbled doesn't really mean much if you almost instantly are able to get your faculties about you and be fine. Because it wasn't like there was a 5-second period after he got wobbled where Colby could have pressured and it would have been the end of Usman. It wasn't like that. It was literally, he was only wobbled for like half a second. And so even if Colby wanted to, which he did, if he wanted to put the pressure on and take advantage of Usman being wobbled, I don't think he could have. And one time he did try it and he couldn't because Usman was fine when he tried to pour the pressure on because he was fine after half a second of being wobbled. So I hope you understand that, because there's levels to being wobbled, right? You can be wobbled and out of it for 20 seconds. And if your opponent just hits you with one more shot, you're done. Or you can be wobbled for like half a second. And even if your opponent did hit you, the punch wouldn't even land quick enough to do anything because you was fine. So I think Usman was fine, but we have to concede that he was wobbled multiple times. Now, on the Usman side, obviously Usman was doing a lot more damage throughout the fight. Yeah, there was a few times where Colby wobbled Usman, but the accumulative damage was drastically on the side of Kamaru Usman, right? So although Usman was wobbled, he was fine 10 seconds after, and it didn't look like it affected him throughout the fight. Whereas when Colby was hurt, it looked like it had an accumulative effect throughout the fight. And obviously that ended up breaking his jaw in the end of the third or the fourth round, and he ended up stopping him in the fifth round. And I think that was because of accumulative damage. Now, I could go back and forth about this fight for days. Now, I will say two main points on this fight. I think the first main point was that if you watch that fight and you come out thinking that there's no value on Colby at plus 250, it's pretty crazy. But there's a deeper layer that I want to get into on this fight. And in my opinion, that deeper layer is the adjustments both fighters can make. I think, in my opinion, Colby fought the best game plan and landed the best shots and had the best performance of his career that he could have against Usman in the first fight. I see almost no adjustments that Colby can make to win that fight this time, apart from the wrestling and the clinch control, right? Now, you can hypothesize that he can make every type of adjustment, right? You can say that his boxing's going to be better. You can say that his kickboxing's going to be better. You can say that his range control is going to be better. You can say that his pace is going to be more. You can say anything. You can say he's going to make any adjustment in the world. It doesn't matter. He's going to throw more spinning kicks. You can say any adjustment in the world, and we won't know if you're lying, or we won't know if you're right or wrong. And even after the fight, we won't know because it's just one iteration of the fight. But what I'm saying is that I don't think that he can make any adjustments other than potentially the wrestling. Now, we can argue about that all day, so I'm not going to go too deep into it because at the end of the day, it's just personal opinion. In my opinion, I don't think he can make adjustments in the boxing because I think he had great boxing in that fight. I don't think there's anything he can do better, honestly. I don't think he can do anything better. Maybe a technique-wise, he can throw the jab a little bit straighter and stuff like that, but just that boxing performance against Usman, I think it was a high-level performance. I don't think he can better that. I don't think he can. The only thing I can think he can do better is if he takes down Usman. But honestly, I don't think he's going to have success there. So I also lean on the side to say that I don't think he can do that. Now, he can try, but I don't think it's going to be effective. So my whole opinion on this fight is that I think Colby had the fight of his career in his last fight. And I don't think that he can make any adjustments that are going to win him this fight. But I do think Usman can make adjustments that are going to win him this fight. And I think he will make the adjustments. And I think he'll stop Colby earlier. Definitely not early, but earlier than the last fight. So that's my whole opinion on the fight, you know. I understand the Colby shots at plus 250. I really do. And honestly, in some way, I hope he cashes because it's like such an obvious bet at plus 250 if you watch the first fight. But I do think there's layers deeper, and I don't think people are appreciating that. If you're betting Colby Covington, I don't think you're appreciating the layers that are deeper than just necessarily what we see on tape. I think it's like there's certain things we see on tape, right? But they're only on the surface. I think if you read between the lines, I think there's other things you can uncover. And I think one of the things you uncover when you read between the lines is that Usman's body work was solid and it can be a lot better. And it heavily slowed Colby down. And yes, maybe can Colby adjust to the body work? But man, honestly, it's not that easy to slip body punches, man. I'm a striker, so I know. It's not that easy to adjust to body shots. It's probably one of the hardest things to adjust to in all of MMA. You can adjust to certain things, right? But body shots are not easy to adjust to. The body's always going to be there. The way you adjust to it is you just get the wrestling going. You just want to fight to be on the ground because you don't want to take body shots, right? But I don't think he's going to be able to wrestle Usman. And Usman, it's not only the body shots with the hands. It's that front teep kick. That front teep kick was digging into the body. And honestly, I think if he invests in the body early, like he did in the first fight, but even more, I think he could break Colby down early. And I think the accumulative damage and the power in Kamaru Usman's strikes are just so much higher than Colby's. And I don't think that's up for debate. Colby needs to win this fight on volume. Yeah, look, he wobbled him a couple of times. So, you know, could he get him out of there? It is up for debate. I don't think it will happen. But yeah, look, if you want to make that argument, I'm not going to, you know, call you a liar or really go against you, although I don't think that is going to happen. But I think it's almost, you know, undebatable. Well, no, it is undebatable, in my opinion, that Usman's power and his striking is just, his striking power is a lot more than Colby's. So I think the accumulative damage over 5 rounds, which is what this fight is scheduled to go, it's going to break down Colby a lot more than it breaks down Usman. Because the thing is, yeah, Colby will catch Usman maybe more times. Maybe I'll outland him, which, by the way, he got outlanded in the first fight. But, you know, he could outland him here. But I think that the powerful strikes are just going to break Colby down. Usman broke Colby down in the first fight. He broke his jaw and he stopped him in the 5th round. No matter what you say, the fight was close or whatnot. He broke his jaw, broke his body down, broke his jaw down, and knocked him out, right? So this is not like a hot take, what I'm saying here. But I do think a lot of people are clouded by the plus 250 number on Colby Covington, which I completely understand. But again, without repeating myself, I think there's layers to this fight. And my final prediction is going to be Kamaru Usman via knockout in round 3 or round 4. I don't think it's going to take him to round 5 this time. I think he's going to go to the body. I think Colby's going to have a great first round. But I do think after the second round, Kamaru is going to take over. And I think Kamaru will hurt Colby badly. And I think he's going to put him out. So that's it. That's my prediction for the fight. Honestly, anyone taking a shot on Colby, I completely understand it. And I do wish you luck because I haven't played Kamaru myself. But I don't know, man. I think Kamaru inside the distance is what's happening here. I think Colby's going to put up a great performance. I think it's going to be a good fight. But I think Kamaru is just going to prove that he's a level above. Again, he already proved it. You know, he did already prove it. And I think he's going to prove it again. So that's it, guys. The podcast is done now. I will catch up with the chat for anybody watching live after. But for anybody listening on the podcast streams or on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, thanks for listening. Good luck on your bets. If you want to become a member and cash with the team properly, get all my official picks. LucrativeMMABetting.com is where you should go. But I'll leave all the links in the bio as well. Thank you for listening and see you next week. All right. Now, I'm not in live podcast mode now. Now we're going to get a little bit wacky, like my man Wacky Iraqi says. So, yeah. So now I'm just going to kick my feet up, guys, and we can talk some fights, man. I see my man Narco Cop in the chat right now. Do you want to jump on stream, Narco? If you're available now, we can talk about the card, my man. I'm on the wine, so I'm down for a little chat. Just let me know. I'll send you the stream. If not, happy to have you interacting in the chat, man. This is a solid card this weekend. I want to give a quick shout out to Narco Cop as well. If anyone is not following Narco Cop MMA on YouTube and on Twitter, please go and follow him now, because he puts out high-level content every single week, very consistent, for Dana White's Contender Series, which obviously is finished now, but it will be back next year. And he's been smashing them. And also, he has his Lambo Plays podcast, which I believe is every Friday or Thursday, where he goes through every fight on the card and he only gives out a plus 300 or better prop bet. So hopefully, if a couple cash, you can buy a Lamborghini, hence the name Lambo Play. So, yeah. I'll catch up with the chat now quickly, though. What we got here. So, Anaconda Dam. Look at James out in front of the Lucrative Mansion. Yeah, this is Mansion Lucrative right here. As you can see, we are on lower ground floor right now. I'll just show you guys what we're working with right now. We've got the pool right here, the private pool. Only members of Team Lucrative can access this. We've got the ground floor here with the Weber grill in the corner there for a cookout. We've got the first floor here with the dining area, fireplace, and then we also have the penthouse suite right on the top. So it's a 3-4 level house. This is the Lucrative Mansion. Maybe I should do like an episode of Cribs. Obviously, the neighbors are trying to have some fun with me now, talking about, I won't mention that live on stream, but it's all love over here. So yeah, this is the Lucrative Mansion. Maybe I should do like an episode of the Cribs where I just walk through and yeah. Trey Lance is saying Drunk James is a new character unlocked. Yeah, I must be a little bit tipsy right now. Angela Montgomery is saying loves the view. Big card this week. We've been rolling. We have been rolling. Let's keep making that money. Lucrative MMA. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Angela. I really appreciate that. And thanks for being here. Matthew, shout out to you. Ego Thief. Mark Lewin, where you living? Right now, I am living in Auckland, New Zealand. And it's a beautiful country. Shout out to Auckland. We've got Alex Weber saying it'll be at 268. Ian Gary gonna blow the roof off the gaff. Yes. That's it, man. I love that. I love to hear that vocabulary. Obviously, I'm from London, grew up around that, but I haven't heard it in many years now since I've left. Will Stevens saying Melsick, Jacoby, Gary, Parlay. I think they all win. And honestly, yeah, that's not bad, honestly. I don't mind that one. Alex Weber saying first live UFC card for me. That's going to be a great one. What's up, James? Love the new scenario. Triple J, thank you, my man. Grayson saying, how do you feel about the Cheetah Vera versus Frankie Edgar money line? Yeah, I think it's about right, honestly. I actually don't mind a bet on Frankie Edgar via decision because he's not going to be the first man to finish Cheetah Vera. I put my money on that now that he's not going to finish Cheetah Vera the first time. So, healthy Andrew Gallo saying even when Usman was wobbled, he recovered and finished. Yeah, he got wobbled a few times in that fight, and as I said, he recovered straight away. So yeah, and he finished in the end. Narco Cop. I'm living in paradise right now, doing a podcast. That's the life, my man. Loves the live show outside. Thank you, my man. Chronic Combat Conversations. We will be there Saturday. Oh, that's legendary, man. Enjoy the fights. Stay away and enjoy the fight. Well, I actually have bet this fight. And you're talking about the Usman and Covington fight. But I've bet it in a specific way, which only my official members can find out about. Holding the elbows lower. But like you said, teep kick there too. The body's going to be open over 25 minutes. Elbows lower, then it brings your face. And we saw what happened. His jaw got broke. So just in general, hard to hold body shots. Honestly, the best way to stop body shots is obviously range control, right? But thing is, Colby's going to need to be in range at times anyway. But secondary to range control, it's literally just having a strong core and being able to withstand them. It's kind of like how do you block calf kicks? It's distance control or how do you block leg kicks? Yeah, distance control, but also, also getting your legs like conditioned, right? And that's similar to the body shots as well. Superlook saying he loved this podcast. Thank you. William Tyner, do you think Chris Barnett has better chances now that his opponent has announced retirement before the fight? Yeah, I mean, probably, because like anytime a fighter's retiring, you never really want to back them. I honestly, I hate it when my fighters that I've bet on are retiring. So yeah, I guess so. Yeah, probably. Mario saying cheers. Narco, thanks for the shout out anytime. SKJR, can Colby take him down? I feel like, man, I don't know. I don't think he will, honestly. I think he's definitely going to wrestle. From what he's been saying, it looks like he's going to wrestle. But honestly, I don't think he'll have too much success. Trey Lance, he's saying, you think Osborne wins by submission? Vergara's subpar takedown defense. He definitely can do because he's got a lot of submissions on his record, but I'm not necessarily sure he will. I think knockout is more likely. What percentage likelihood would you say Gaethje Chandler? Yeah, I don't know, man. See, you know what I was speaking about earlier? I've veered away from the specific number percentage a lot these days. I do things by feel. I go with not my gut because that's the wrong word, but how I feel about the fight. In terms of kind of just flowing freely in terms of strict numbers because it allows me to be more malleable and pliable, and it's just the way I gamble now. So, but again, I can always give a strict percentage if someone's got a gun to my head. So although you don't have a gun to my head now, I'll pretend you do. Strict percentage it goes the distance. I don't know, man. 20% maybe. Henry Wells, house tour coming soon. Need the cribs, episode of the cribs. John Darville, damn, you're balling like that. Do you live alone? This is not my house. I wish it was. One day, my man. One day. I rented this place out alone. Do you train MMA? I train UFC, not MMA. No, not MMA. But I did train Muay Thai for a few years. Love the website and method you put bets out. Super smooth. You got the process down. Glad to be part of the team. Thank you, Angela. I appreciate that very much. Capping service. Any interest in Chris Curtis moneyline or TKO? Not really, man. I can't really see Chris Curtis doing anything good. In his fights, he looks like he wears you down and he's just a meat and potatoes fighter. It's hard for me to find like an angle on what he's going to do to beat Phil Hawes other than like maybe outlast him over 3 rounds. But man, I don't really know if he's going to do that. Phil Hawes probably going to be able to take him down. Phil Hawes gasses, so if he goes to a wrestling game plan, maybe he'll get tired, but I'm not sure. John Darville, how is Carlos Vergara an underdog? Oh, they only beats Jerome Rivera. Okay, but who is Carlos Vergara beat? I'll wait, right? I'll wait because you're not going to type anyone in who is better than Jerome Rivera, honestly. Who did he beat? Bruno Correa? Jacob Silva? 8-7 fighter, They both haven't beat anyone. So that's not a viable argument to say, why is he an underdog? Because they've both not beat anyone. What's your net worth? That's a mad question. Oh, I don't know, my man. I'll have to add it all up. I'll have to go on all the betting websites and add them all up. That'll take me too long. I can't tell you. Christian Rodriguez, Colby Covington via decision. Plus 500. Good luck. William Tyner, Lambo play. You want a Lambo play? Man, it was Barnett via decision, plus 700. Nutty number. Aude Osborne in round 1? Useless, plus 400, plus 300. Lambo play. You need to hit up my boy Narco for that one. One of them is dying. Facts. You need to hit up this man here if you want Lambo play. I'm just looking on Best Fight Odds now to see if I can find you a Lambo play. Gary submission, what's that, like 700 or something? I'm not really the man for Lambo plays. Narco's going to chime in a minute with a Lambo play. You biting on that Billy Q money line? No, I'm avoiding it. I'm avoiding the fight. Thoughts on Usman versus Canelo? Yeah, good fight. Obviously, Usman's got that power. He's got that pace, got that experience in MMA as well. No. Canelo, knockout. Round 1. I don't know why the fuck anyone would sanction that. It will be absolutely brutal. Canelo would probably drag him to the third round just to let his fans get their money's worth. Honestly, Canelo can do whatever the fuck he wants. Yeah, I mean, absolutely hilarious booking. That would be amazing. That is a freak show. Gary Sub, there we go. It's also what I said, right? Plus 550. I mean, it's got stamp of approval. Lucrative and narco. Although I'm not predicting that, but for Lambo, I'll say that. So that's it, guys. I think I'm going to jump off now. Yeah, any more questions before I hop off? No more questions? Then, one more question. Can Frankie Edgar steal round one against Vergara? Against Vera. That's the wine, bro. Yeah, 100%. I mean, Vera always drops round one. And now, look, I say any more questions and then it gets flooded. Yeah, Vera always loses round one. I think he does win round one. I think he's going to win round one. It's not even like, can he do it? I think he will do it. All right, SKJR, Wiley or Rose? I don't know. Seriously, I'm sorry. Wiley. I don't know. Thanks, James. That's fouls, no problem. How long you been gambling full time? Full time. So I've had jobs on and off on the side, but maybe like a year with no other job. Actually, not. That's not particularly true because I did have that work from home job for a while. This year, because we're in November now, so that's 11 months. Yeah, this year sometime earlier in the year, I was able to go completely full time. There we go, guys. You don't get this transparency from anyone else in the industry. Let me tell you that. People all hiding and stuff. I'm open to you guys. Super look. What would balance that fight? What fight, bro? Capping service. Chandler sub any value? Nah. I don't know. I don't even know what it is, but I just do not think he's going to get a sub over Gaethje. Edgar wins round one at a high clip, in my opinion, bro. I can see it. Honestly, I really can. Super look saying gloves change. Bro. Oh, that goes on to your next question, to your last question. What would balance that fight? The Usman Canelo. It's all making sense now. What would balance that? Yes, 4-ounce gloves. It would definitely change the fight dramatically. I still think Canelo knocks him out inside one round, probably. But yes, 4-ounce gloves would change the fight dramatically. But Canelo's got under ridiculous chin, so it don't really matter. But yeah, 4-ounce gloves, whatever, man. Elbows allowed, yeah, all of that shit. Anything where you remove it from a strictly boxing fight would balance it. Literally any other thing in the world, because Usman can do everything else and Canelo can't. So anything you do to that fight will balance it out a little bit, but you're gonna have to do a lot for Canelo not to lose that fight. Canelo is he's the Mexican king. Narco Cop, Vera loses round one almost always. I know he does. He loses round one to everyone. Trey Lance, appreciate it, Narco. Trey is also saying, will Ally Quinter being half in with real estate affect his fight readiness? I don't know, man. I don't know. And neither do you. And not just you, I mean like everyone, right? So hard to say. Super look. Usman Canelo, 4-ounce gloves, elbows allowed. Yeah, that's what would do it. All right, I'm going to hop off now, guys. It's been great. It's been good doing this after stream chat as well. Just can relax a little bit and break some stuff down for you. But yeah, that's it. Be back next week. Official bets, lucrative MMA betting.com. That's about it. Relax and take care. Enjoy the fights.